last Sunday. I set the table for 8 people. I cooked a full pot roast, a pan of cornbread, green beans with ham hocks, sweet potato pie, and I waited. I'm 73 years old, and I've been waiting for a very long time. My name is Dorothy Mae Willis. Most folks around here just call me Miss Dot. I've lived in this same house on South Paulina Street in Chicago for 41 years. I raised 4 children in this house, cooked 10,000 meals in that kitchen, celebrated every birthday, every graduation, every Christmas morning right here in these rooms. My husband Raymond passed going on 12 years now, and since then, it's just been me in these walls. Back in the day, Sunday dinner was sacred in our house. Raymond would carve the roast while I brought out the sides. The kids would argue over who got the drumstick. Grandchildren would be running through the hallways. Lord, this house used to shake with laughter. I miss that sound more than anything in this world. Every Sunday, I get up before the sun does. I don't need an alarm clock. My body just knows. I start the coffee first. Then I pull out my pots and pans, the same ones I've had since 1987. I season the meat the night before, just like my mama taught me. I bake the cornbread from scratch. No box mix in this house. Never has been, never will be. By 7 in the morning, this whole kitchen smells like heaven, and I set the table for everyone. Michael's spot on the left, near the window, because he always said the light was better there. Lisa's spot next to him. James and his wife across from them. Little Keisha and the grandkids at the end. I put out the good plates, the flower ones with the gold rim, because Sunday dinner deserves the good plates. And then I wait. The first Sunday, Michael didn't come. He texted me at 2 in the afternoon, just a text. Said he was tired from the week, that the kids had activities, that he'd make it up to me. I told him it was fine. It wasn't fine. But what are you going to say? That your own son's tired hurts you all the way down to your bones? The next Sunday it was Lisa. Car trouble, she said. The Sunday after that, James had a work thing. On a Sunday, can you imagine? And little by little, the calls stopped coming altogether. Some Sundays I'd call them myself. The phone would ring and ring. Go to voicemail. I'd leave a message. Dinner's ready. I made your favorites. Sometimes they'd call back. Most times they didn't. The table was always full. The chairs were always empty. Outside, the whole neighborhood was living their Sunday. Dogs barking, kids riding bikes, families piling into minivans for afternoon errands. And right here, inside these walls, it was just me and the sound of my own fork on the plate. I want you to understand something. I'm not telling you this so you'll feel sorry for me. I'm telling you this so you understand what it is to love someone so completely that you just keep going. Even when they stop showing up. Even when the silence gets so loud it fills every room in the house. I called Michael on his birthday in March. His wife picked up, told me he was busy, said she'd have him call me back. That was 6 months ago. Lisa moved to Atlanta 2 years back. She sends a Christmas card, God bless her. James lives 40 minutes away on the north side. 40 minutes. And he hasn't been through that door in... Lord, I can't even remember the last time. My neighbor Ruthie asked me one afternoon why I kept cooking if nobody was coming. I told her the truth. I said, "The day I stop cooking is the day I stop hoping, and I'm not ready to stop hoping. Not yet. Now, I've been ordering my groceries delivered for about 2 years. Bad knees. Can't do the store like I used to. The young man who brings them is named Marcus. He started noticing things. One Sunday he knocked early, caught me mid-cook, and asked me, real politely, whether I was having company. I told him, Lord willing, son, Lord willing. He looked past me at that table full of food and full-place settings, and something crossed his face. He said his grandma used to make pot roast like that on Sundays. Said used to, and I knew exactly what that meant before he even finished the sentence. He told me she'd passed 3 years before, that he'd lived in Memphis, that he hadn't gotten back enough to see her before she went. He stopped talking mid-sentence, just looked away, and I recognized what was living in his eyes, that particular kind of regret that arrives too late and never fully leaves. So I asked him the only thing that made sense to ask. I said, "You hungry, Marcus?" He looked at me like I'd asked him to walk on water, and then he said yes. That was 8 months ago, and Marcus has eaten at that table every Sunday since. But here's the part that nobody knew. He wasn't the only one. A few weeks after Marcus started coming, I noticed a man sleeping under the viaduct on Ashland Avenue when I drove past with Ruthie. Vietnam veteran, you could tell from his jacket. Name turned out to be Harold Greer, from Joliet originally. 67 years old and eating out of a dumpster behind the Walgreens on 63rd Street. I walked up to him with a covered plate and told him I'd made too much food, that I always make too much food, and that he'd be doing me a favor if he ate it. That was the only way I knew he'd accept it without feeling embarrassed. He didn't say a word at first, just looked at the plate, then looked at me. So I told him I'd like him to come eat at my table the next Sunday if he was willing. He showed up that Sunday. He's been coming every single Sunday since. And then there was Tanisha, 29 years old, 2 little girls, 4 and 6, living in a shelter over on Garfield. She came to my door one afternoon and said she'd heard from someone at the church that I fed people. That's how she put it. I heard you feed people. And I told her, honey, I feed family, and you are welcome at my table. My children stopped filling these chairs, so God sent me different people to fill them. Strangers who became something more than strangers, every Sunday for 8 months, while my own blood forgot I existed. A delivery driver, a homeless veteran, and a young mother with 2 little girls called me Grandma Dot and ate at my table like they'd been doing it all their lives. But what I didn't know was that everything was about to come out into the open, and the people who needed to see it most were about to see it. I need to back up and tell you what happened the Sunday before this one. Marcus, good boy, he means well, had posted something on his social media. He hadn't meant any harm by it, just a photo. My table, full of food, full of people. He wrote that every Sunday this 73-year-old woman cooked a full dinner and opened her home to whoever needed it, and that if that wasn't love, he didn't know what was. It got shared a lot. Someone who knew my daughter Lisa in Atlanta saw it. Lisa showed it to Michael. Michael called James, and they all recognized the house, the table, the flower plates, their mother. Michael stepped through that door and his voice broke when he tried to speak. He wanted to know who all those people were. I told him, "These are my Sunday people, Michael." Lisa asked how long it had been going on. I told her the truth, about 8 months of them, and a good deal longer of her not being here. Nobody said anything after that. The whole table went quiet, and I just set down my dish towel, walked to the head of the table, and pulled out the empty chair, the one none of my Sunday guests had ever sat in. I looked at my children standing in that doorway in the cold, and I told them the same thing I always told them when they were little and dinner was ready. I said, "Sit down and eat." I watched my son Michael sit down next to Harold, a man who'd slept under a viaduct and eaten from a dumpster, and I watched something happen in Michael's face that I hadn't seen since he was a little boy. Shame. Real, honest shame. Not the kind you perform, the kind that sits in your chest and makes it hard to breathe. I heard him ask Harold how long he'd been coming to the table, and I heard Harold tell him about 6 months, and that I had probably saved his life, and he didn't say that lightly. I heard my son go quiet after that, the kind of quiet that means a man is doing arithmetic in his soul. Lisa found me in the kitchen. She started crying before she even opened her mouth. I just held her. She's still my baby girl, even at 47 years old. She kept saying she didn't know. She didn't know. She was so sorry. I held her tighter and told her, "I know, baby. Sit down and eat." 'Cause that's the only language I've ever known for love. That's the only way I've ever known to say, "You're still mine, and I am still here." James didn't say much at all that night. He just ate, and every so often he'd look around that table, at Marcus, at Harold, at little Keisha running around with a dinner roll in her hand, and something would move across his face. I know my son. He was counting up the Sundays in his head, adding up the weeks, measuring the distance between 40 minutes away and never showing up. Some reckonings don't need words. My children came back the next Sunday, and the Sunday after that, and I won't pretend everything was fixed, because life doesn't work that way. Hurt takes time, trust takes longer, but they came back, and they sat down, and they ate. Marcus still comes. Harold still comes. Tanisha and those little girls, they come every single week. Last Sunday, little Keisha called me Grandma Dot for the first time, and I had to excuse myself to the kitchen so nobody would see me crying over the sink. At my age, you learn to take your joy wherever God sees fit to leave it. People asked me why I kept cooking all those months when nobody was coming. They ask like it doesn't make sense. But here's what I've learned at 73 years old, after everything life has given me and taken from me. Love is a practice, not a feeling, a practice. You do it every single day, even when no one is watching, even when no one shows up. You do it because that's who you are, because the table is always worth setting. My children stopped coming, but I never stopped being their mother. Strangers walked in hungry, and I never stopped being a grandmother. That's the thing nobody tells you about getting old and being left behind. You don't stop. You don't shrink. You just keep the porch light on. You keep the pot on the stove. And you trust that God has a way of filling the empty seats with exactly the people who need them most. Family isn't only about blood. It's about who pulls up a chair. It's about who shows up hungry, not just for food, but for belonging. And if your family forgets to show up, well, you keep cooking, because somebody out there needs what you have to give. And one Sunday, they'll find their way to your door. I'm Dorothy Mae Willis. I live on South Paulina Street in Chicago, and every Sunday, I cook for my family, all of them. If my story touched your heart today, please give this video a like and share it with someone you love, especially someone you haven't called in a while. And if anything I said made you think of your own family, don't wait for a Sunday photo to go viral. Pick up the phone, show up. The table is always worth setting. And if you'd like to hear another story about family, regret, and the kind of love that refuses to give up, click the video on your screen right now, because some stories need to be told, and some people need to hear them.